Hello there. Just thought I'd share with you some single cask samples that I'm just doing at the moment from our headquarters here in Harth, Ballyhackamore. So I just pulled these whiskies from the casks up in the warehouse in Mahara, up in the Sperrins this morning. So the whiskey's super fresh. We're actually sending them out to China, but we'll definitely have little dribbles left over for anyone who comes into the bar. So these whiskies are all single casks. Some of them are single malt, some of them are single pot still. They're cask strength. They're just straight out of the wood. So I'm going to show you guys how we test the strength and the alcohol, and how we label them up and how we send them on. So the first one I'll show you is a single malt. So it's this one here. So this is uncolored Irish single malt. So there's no E1500 caramel coloring in there. So that's 100% natural coloring. Would you believe it that this whiskey is actually a sherry cask, 100%. So it's been aged in an Amontillado butt, which are these big casks. They're huge. Quite difficult to draw samples out of, I can testify. So the whiskey is 100% natural. So the things we're trying to figure out at this point are the strength and whether we think it's any good or not. So these whiskies are actually heading out to the Far East. They're heading out to China, so that we can impress some people out there. But all super fresh, super nice. Grand. So first thing I'm going to do is use one of these little yolks here to test the strength of the alcohol. So it's just a little test tube because it's easier to do it this way. And then we want to fill it up enough so that the hydrometer can float. That should probably do it. I'm always conscious about pouring too much. And generally, strength-wise, for a whiskey of this age, it could be anything from it could be anything from 40 up to about 62%. So we're trying to get a more accurate description. So what you use for this is one of these things, which is a hydrometer. So they're quite simple. It's just to test the alcohol. So they're weighted, which is why those little beads are at the bottom, and they should float depending on how strong it is. So you get them in a range. So everything from this one, which tests up from 70 up to 100%, which in this case won't be necessary. This one, which goes from 0 up to 40%, which again shouldn't be necessary because I could imagine the strength would be quite a lot more than that. So if I was to stick this one, which is the 0 to 40, it just sinks right in. So that's no good. So we know that it's stronger than 40%, which is good. The Angels haven't had too much of their share. And if I stick this much in, and these are all sanitized before I use them. And this one's 70 to 100. So I can't imagine it's that strong. Again, there it is. It floats right up to the top. So we know that it's less than 70%. And then the main event, so 40 to 70%, and it should float somewhere in between. Yep, so that's all good. So we can see from this one, 50 up to 60, I'd say this whiskey is around 56.5%. The one we tested just before was 57%, so this one's slightly weaker. They're the same age. These casks actually sat next to each other, and when the liquid would have gone in, it would have been the same strength. So what happened could have been the wood, could have been where they were sitting in the warehouse. Maybe somebody hit them a kick by mistake one day. Whatever happened over the course of their lives, the whiskies have aged slightly. The Angels have had a little bit more of a share of this particular whiskey. So I'm just going to bottle this up in one of these little test tube bottles. I think these were actually originally purposed to be sauce bottles, but we'll do for this. And then we just fill her up. eventually what we're going to do is we're going to label it. So as you can see from this label, the whiskey is a single malt, it's an Amontillado, but it's cask number 11, and it is 56.5% ABV. So that's all the information we really need. And then it's just a matter of deciding whether we like the taste of it or not. Thanks very much.